Alright. Nampak kan? Alright. Share screen. I dah share. Okay, start show from beginning. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very very good morning, very very good evening, and salam keluarga Malaysia, and selamat hari raya to our respected and beloved lecturer Madam Bella, and also to all my group members. So actually, I read a bit about shares because I want to invest, but I just don't quite understand what is share is all about. So Mr. Izwan, can you help me what is a share is all about?
Sure. The general understanding of shares. So when people who are not familiar with shares, stock or trading, they must be wondering what is that and how can it bring profit to somebody. Well, to understand what is share, a share represents a portion of a company's ownership. Individual or institutional investors can become shareholders by purchasing and selling shares on a public stock exchange. Shareholders will have voting rights and a residual claim on company earnings, such as capital gains and dividends.
So actually I quite understand what is share is all about, but I think let's move and dive deeper into it. So basically, we are group one, and we are going to present to you about shares. And our group will be me, Izra, Izwan, my friend, Rugi Suwari, Fasha, and Arif. So without further ado, let's continue. Then this will be the flow of our presentation for today. And as you guys can see, we will start first with legal explanation and definition of shares by Mr. Izwan.
Thank you very much. So the most commonly cited legal definition of shares is a company's capital is divided into small equal units of a finite number. Each unit is known as share. An investor who buys and sells a unit of equity is entitled for any profits that the company may earn in the form of dividends, followed by the terms and agreement of which agreed by both parties. However, the dividends on the share but is not fixed and it is vary from year to another depending on the company's profit.
Alright, how about some a bit of understanding, a bit of example for the sake of understanding by Mr. Fasha. Daniel, you there?
Ini aku kena
Yes, just
baca ke dialog?
cerita je. Yeah, just cerita
Okay.
what you have done.
Okay, for this part, I have done for the dialogue for two persons, which is Raju and also Ali. And in this situation, I created a situation for them to discuss on the shares for the public that has been issued by Farm Fresh Berhad. And the issue is that there is 1 million shares for sale to the public and for only RM1.70 per share. So Ali actually agrees that the RM170 per share is very cheap, and the company gives the amount 170 and 1,000 unit of shares, and the stock price of the Farm Fresh Berhad have increased 10% in the KLSE stock. So the amount of that is the 1,700 times 10, which is equals to 170. So in this situation is that the main character says that it doesn't have to be worried because the company has registered under SSM, which is Syarikat Suruhanjaya Malaysia, and it is a body of companies under the Act of 2016. So they have the rights of the shareholder and they are protected under the law.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Fasha. That's a great and a creative explanation. And without further ado, we continue with the next flow, with the next subtopic, which is the share capital. by Miss Durgis.
Good morning, madam. I am Durgeshwar Ravi. Today, I would like to present about the share capital part. Share capital. Share capital is the amount of assets contributed to the company by its members when they subscribe for shares in the company. Share capital is the money it raises from selling common or preferred stock. Authorized share capital is the maximum amount a company has been approved to raise in a public offering. A company may opt for a new offer of stock in order to increase the share capital on its balance sheet. According to the Section 18, Subsection 1, Clause C of the Companies Act 1965, revised in 1973, stated that capital clause in the Memorandum of Association stating the amount of capital the company proposes to register and its division into fixed amount.
By the way, I'm so sorry because you can't see clearly the section because there's a bit of a mistake there. But never mind, we continue with the types of share capital. Okay, hold on. Okay, there you go.
Okay, next I would like to present about the types of share capital part. There are 8 types of share capital. Firstly, nominal capital. Nominal capital is the aggregate par value of those shares that have been issued by a corporation. Since par value is typically set at 0.01 per share, the total nominal value of a company is quite low. In cases where there is no par value at all, a firm has no nominal capital. Secondly, issued capital. Issued capital is simply the monetary value of the shares of stock a company actually offers for share sale to investors. The number of issued shares generally correspond to the amount of subscribed share capital, though neither amount can exceed the authorized amount. Thirdly, unissued capital. Unissued capital is the portion that a company does not offer for sale. To know the number of unissued shares, deduct the total amount of shares outstanding and the treasury stock shares, which are the shares a company repurchased from the authorized number of shares. Next, paid up capital. Paid up capital is the amount of money a company has received from shareholders in exchange for shares of stock. Paid-up capital is created when a company sells its shares on the primary market directly to investors, usually through an initial public offering. Next slide, Mr. Besides that, call-up capital. Called-up capital is the amount of share capital shareholders owe but not paid. Furthermore, uncalled capital. Uncalled capital is the unpaid portion of the subscribed capital. In other words, it is the remainder of the issued capital which has not been called. However, the company may call this amount at any time, but that must be subject to the terms of issue of shares. And in addition, reserve capital. Reserve capital is the part of subscribed capital which is not called up yet and will be available for drawing when needed. It will be called up only in case of winding up or liquidation of a company. Lastly, capital reserve. Capital reserve is taken out of the capital profit and is not shared as a dividend to the shareholder. This reserve cannot be created out of the profit earned from the core operation. That's all from me, madam. I would like to pass to my friend for more information.
Okay, and then we continue about the nature of shares. Now we are talking about the shares itself. Okay. Brother Dan, continue.
Okay, my name is Arif Izzuddin. So, nature of share. Shareholding is a complex system of joint ownership, and as we know, a company will issue these shares to be open to public to buy it in order for them to collect the shares and use the share in order to dig more or improvise their company. And the share will be their go-to solution as they sell their share to the public, and they will use the money or the capital to develop their businesses even more. And the people that buy the share will have the profit that is made by the development of the business. So based on the Companies Act, Section 70, a share and other interests of a member in a company is personal property and transferable in accordance to Section 105. So the nature of share, we will talk a little bit about the main rights of a shareholder. The main rights of a shareholder is attendance and participation in general meetings. So usually the shareholder will carry one vote per unit share. So those who have the most amount of share will have a bigger probability of shaping the company's future and making decision for the company. So the next one is the company's profit. So the company's profit will be divided equally, distributed by the means of dividend of a certain amount paid on each share. So the larger amount of share you have, the larger company's profit you will gain. And last but not least is the final distribution. If the company is winding out, all the creditors are paid and members can divide the available remaining asset conducted in two stages, which is a return of capital or a distribution of surplus. And all of this right is maintained and protected by the Companies Act, enforced by the Suruhanjaya Syarikat Malaysia. So the shareholder need not to worry about it.
Okay, thank you so much, Brother Dan. So now we are going a bit further into the shares itself. So as you guys can see on the slide, it's under the section 69 of the Companies Act 2016, where it stated that section 69, okay, subject to the constitution of company, shares in company may be issued in different classes. So the clause that I want to highlight is the clause A of the section 69, which stated about issued in different classes, okay, and there's a requirement of the different classes as stated under section 69, which is B, C, D and E. Okay, so this is where I would like to highlight that because the law in Malaysia is flexible, actually we don't have any strict things to differentiate about the class. I mean, we have strict rights to differentiate the classes, but the company may create any type of classes because the flexibility of the law in Malaysia. Okay, just write the word. I will quote this. This is done by setting out the different rights attached to them. So basically, as you guys can see, in the slide, the purple part of the slide, which is different types compared to different rights. So meaning to say that we have many type of different classes of shares in Malaysia, but the most popular types of most popular classes of shares in Malaysia is we only have two, which is the preference shares and ordinary shares. But that's the most popular type. But like I've mentioned before, we have a variety types of class because a company can create any classes, any different classes of shares by setting out of those classes according to the rights attached to them in the company's article. Okay, so this is the preference shares and ordinary shares, and like I've mentioned before, this is the most popular classes of shares in Malaysia. So preference shares is all about in terms of dividend, in terms of capital, in terms of voting rights, they are restricted and you don't have any you can say the power in the company. But ordinary shares, the most popular one, which all the company have these types of shares, you have the right to vote, you have the right to speak, to participate at the meeting, and etc. Okay, this is the exact detail to compare the preference shares and ordinary shares in terms of ownership rights. Preference shares, you do not have any ownership rights, but in ordinary shares, you have. In terms of voting rights, you don't have any voting rights in preference shares, but you do have voting rights in ordinary shares. But as a trait for that, you have the in terms of the measurement of the risk. There's a slight risk, not slight, but actually quite a high risk in the ordinary shares, but you will have no risk at all when you invest it in the class of preference shares. And as you guys can see in the slide, in the preference shares, the holder of the preference shares referred to the preference shareholders, and it carry a fixed rate of return preference share dividend, and also you are referred to as a quasi equity. In the ordinary shares, you are known as ordinary shareholders, and you carrying a variety rate of ordinary share dividend, and also you are referred to as pure equity. Alright, and basically we have requirements of rights according to the different classes of shares set up under section 71 of the Companies Act 2016. Okay, so the section 71 of the Company Acts 2016 had mentioned that a share in a company other than preference shares, meaning that any other share is as following. Okay, so this is the rights that you must include for you to create the classes of shares. So we have A, the right to attend, participate, and speak at meeting, and B, the right to vote on a show of hands on any resolution of the company. C, the right to one vote for each share on a poll on any resolution of the company. And D, the right to an equal share in the distribution of the surplus assets of the company. And E, or the right to an equal share in dividends authorized by the board. So basically, because of this section 71, you have many rights, and the company can create any classes of share according to this right, other than preference shares. Okay, so basically, the bonus part, we finished this slide. I would like to ask my group mates. Okay, so what do you think the best for us to invest? Whether we have to invest in the classes of preference shares or classes of ordinary shares? So which one is the best? Any opinion from any of you guys?
It's because there are no risks at all.
Okay, alright. So that's your view. How about the others? Arif, Durgis, Fasha.
In my opinion, I would. Hello.
Hello. Yes, dengar.
Okay. In my opinion, I would choose the ordinary shares because I buy stocks or shares from a company. I need them to give the most profit to me, and I would like to talk in the meeting and also have votes for decision that the company will make in the future in order for them to develop even more.
Okay, thank you so much. That's a good view. And Fasha, Durgis, how about you guys?
Isra, in my opinion, I choose the ordinary share because I thought even though they have a measure of risk in ordinary share, but we have the ownership rights and voting rights in ordinary share.
Alright.
That's my opinion.
Okay, thank you so much. And Fasha?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Boleh.
Okay, so for me, in my opinion, I would like to choose preference share as it is most issued to investors, while ordinary shares are often given out to startup business founders. So for beginners, it's probably good for ordinary shares, and for investors are good for preference share.
You mean swap terbalik kan tadi? Preference shares maksudnya. For the beginners, preference shares.
So my decision is preference share is more better lah for shareholders to actually decide which one to invest.
Okay, alright. So basically that's all from us. So thank you so much, madam. Thank you so much, my respective group members. Bye. Selamat Hari Raya.
Selamat Hari Raya, madam.
Thank you. Selamat Hari Raya.
Hari Raya, madam.